Hey everybody, don't forget to check out my bookie Sportsbook and Casino, America's most trusted sportsbook in 2019. You can look at betting lines and place bets in bare knuckle and MMA. Don't forget to use our referral code down below for a 50% sign up bonus. That's my bookie Sportsbook and Casino. From BKFC 8, we're buzzed about your fight coming up, the rematch of the century, arguably rematch of the decade, whatever you want to call it. You versus Artem. Do me a favor. Tell us. I know everybody wanted to see it, but tell us like the behind the scenes. How did this rematch come together?
Man, I told David Feldman that I wanted to fight, sometime around November. Make sure, I wanted to get one more in before the end of the year. I was supposed to fight back in August, supposed to fight Leonard Garcia, but I wound up having a rib injury. The ribs got all healed up, so, I told him I need to fight. I want to fight, and, I'm hungry, ready to go. And told him I don't care who it is. I would like it to be Artem, but whoever, it doesn't really matter. And there for a while, he kept telling me, "Yeah, we're gonna get you a fight. We got you a fight. We're gonna get you a fight. Not sure the date yet. Not sure the opponent yet." And I kept at him. About once a week, I asked him, "Hey, am I fighting? Who am I fighting? When is the date? Blah blah blah." Well, finally he messaged me, said, "Yeah, you're for sure fighting November 16th. Not 100% on the opponent yet." I was like, "Okay, sweet. That gives me something to look forward to." Well, then, another few days go by, and I was like, "Hey, man, do we got the opponents yet?" He said, "Most likely Artem." And he said, "Nothing concrete yet, but most likely Artem." And then I was like, "Awesome." Well, then, get to training and stuff, and a couple days go by, and I asked him again, "Hey, man, is Artem for sure? Or is it going to be somebody else? Or, what's going on? I would like to know who I'm fighting." He said, it's for sure going to be Artem, but, you can't release it until we release it." All right, sweet. So I just started busting my ass and trying to make sure I was prepared as I can be, and waited on the announcement.
That was kind of the wasn't that the idea, right? That you were going to face the winner of. I mean, am I wrong? The winner of Paulie and Artem. Like, wasn't that the idea the whole time? Like you were kind of in the wings waiting to face one of them.
Yeah, I mean that's what I from the go, because as soon as my fight was over, David Feldman got in the ring and he announced that as hard as I fought, I deserved the winner. And that's what he's going to make happen. So of course, that's what I wanted from the go. That's what I wanted the whole time. But the opportunity came up to fight Leonard Garcia, so I was down to do that too. Leonard Garcia, I remember watching him when I was a kid. So I was definitely excited to fight him. But unfortunate things happen, injuries happen. Yeah, that's the very first fight that I've ever had to pull out of in my life, and I think for me it shows a sign of maturity because I fought injured plenty of times. My last year I fought with an AC separation, and I think that was a big part of the reason I lost the fight. And I think that it's a smart thing me pulling out with the rib injury because one wrong punch and I could have lost a fight that I could have easily won.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, do you think that how do I phrase this? Like, is it maybe a blessing in disguise because now you got a chance to heal up, and now you're facing Artem, which I am. I mean, it is what it is. It's the bigger fight. No offense to Leonard Garcia, nothing like that. No disrespect to him, but this is the bigger fight. I'm sure this is the more money fight for you. I don't know, but I mean, do you think it was kind of more of a blessing in disguise?
Uh, Not really, man. Of course, I would have loved to have fought Leonard, and especially after watching Jim Allers take him out so easily. I feel like that's money that I missed out on. But yeah, of course, I'm excited to be fighting Artem. And my thing is that if I would have fought back in August, I believe I would have been ready to fight now. Anyways, I believe that I would have had plenty of time for
Okay.
my face to heal up because last time that's all I really had was superficial cuts. I didn't have any kind of brain damage, no broken hands or anything
See,
like that.
see,
So as
see.
soon as my face was healed up, I was ready to go again. So I believe if I would have fought Leonard Garcia, I probably would have sustained a lot less cuts, and I would have been ready to go for November anyways.
What do you think about Jim Ellers? You brought him up. He stepped in to face Leonard Garcia, first round knockout. He just fought this past weekend, Julian Lane, second round. Have you kind of had your eye on this guy? What do you think about him?
Man, I think he's looking really good at one. I fought him in the UFC. That was my second UFC fight, and I beat him by unanimous decision. Or no, I think it might have been a split decision. But anyways, I beat Jim Allers in the UFC, and that was at 145. Well, since then he's made a step up to 155, and I don't think he's lost since he moved to 155. And I think that's a good weight class for him. And I would love to fight him. I'm not scared to fight him at all. I don't think that he's going to run through me as quick as he's ran through the rest of these guys. And I'm definitely not going to shy away from that. That power that he's bringing to the table. But he's got to come to my weight class. I'm not going to fight him at 155 at all because I walk around. If I'm 160, it's because I've been sitting around eating cheeseburgers. You know what I'm saying? I usually walk around closer to 155, so that's just not realistic.
Yeah.
He would be coming into the fight at 175, 180. I would go into the fight at like 157. So that's not going to happen.
You know something, Jason, I want to ask you something real quick because earlier on we were talking about all this negative criticism that so many of these journalists who have never stepped into the ring a day in their lives are talking about all of these fighters that have fought in the UFC, that have fought professional boxing, and now they're quote unquote has-beens, wannabes past their prime and everything. You fought on the top level, and now you've made the transition over to bare knuckle. Let me ask you something, man. Do you kind of feel, in a sense, kind of born again as a fighter because this is something so new and so monumentally different from MMA? I mean, do you feel like a different fighter than you did when you were fighting at the UFC or MMA?
Honestly, man, I just think that the statement about has-beens is ridiculous. People that's past their prime, that's pretty ridiculous because I promise you, if I get ready to go back to MMA and I set my heart on it and I'm excited about fighting MMA, then I will go back to the UFC whenever I get ready. All I got to do is go fight a couple fights, get a couple wins under my belt. Yeah. And I promise you, I know that I can still do that. I've still got awesome jiu-jitsu. My wrestling's not that bad. I can make it in the MMA scene if I get ready to. The reason that I'm not in the UFC anymore is because I fell out of love with the sport. It was so saturated. You got wrestlers that take you down the line that they make the fight boring, and the judges allow it to happen. BKFC, it's all action all the time. You gotta fight me. You can't come in there and point your way through it. And if you try to point fight me, I'm gonna turn it into a dog fight, and you gotta survive.
Yeah.
If you're gonna outpoint me, you better be ready to make me miss and make me pay. And I think it's gonna be a whole lot easier said than done. So I really think that the reason I like BKFC so much is something again. I get blood gets boiling.
Love it.
Fighting. In the UFC, my blood didn't boil anymore. I wasn't super excited. I wasn't as hungry as I once was.
Yeah.
With bare knuckle, I've got that hunger. I've got that fire inside of me, and I'm ready to go.
Just to which I love that. I love that answer.
Poetry.
By the way.
Poetry, brother.
I love
Poetry.
It.
I love it.
I'd like to follow up just kind of what you were touching on with Jim Ellers. am I correct in assuming, just from what I've heard, so Jim is under the impression that he's getting the winner of you and Artem. Is that your understanding too? Obviously at 145, but weight class aside, like is that the understanding that you have as well?
I mean, I don't know. They haven't talked to me about it, but I welcome that with open arms. If he can make it down to 145, step on them scales. That if he makes 146, you got the pound allowance or whatever. He makes that weight, I'm down. I am. I'll fight him. I'll fight anybody that
Yeah.
steps in there at 146. I don't care. Uh, it's just another man to me, and I beat him in the UFC, which of course we had the kicks and takedowns and all that stuff, but Jim's tough. He's going to hit hard, but it's not going to be the first time that he's hit me hard. I've took his best shots. He's took my best shots, and I believe I can do it again.
What's going to be different this time in the rematch? Because obviously with Artem, obviously the first one was it was a 5-round war, and a lot of people, depending on who you ask, had you winning it, had Artem win it. Like it was very split, depending on who you ask. And I guess what are you going to do differently for this fight?
Man, honestly, my biggest mistakes in that fight, I didn't keep my feet under me. I got flat-footed entirely too much, and I was trying to knock him out with one punch. I thought that the same as Artem. I think we both thought that we were going to close the show with that big punch. We was going to land just the perfect punch, and the
Yeah.
guy wasn't going to get back up. And I think that's the biggest mistake we made was underestimating each other. I'm not going to underestimate.
Oh,
I know.
there we go.
I know it's not going to be easy to get him out of there. So I'm gonna keep my feet planted, make sure that I don't get flat-footed, try to keep my hands up a little bit more, so that way I sustain a little less damage.
Yeah.
Because I cut really really easy.
Yeah.
My skin is paper thin. My face is really bony, so I'm gonna cut. I'm gonna bleed. But if I can keep my hands up a little bit more and minimize a few of those cuts, then maybe the judges, won't sit there and count it as, oh, well, he got so much damage done, because you got some dumbass judges who are going off of, oh, man, he got cut, he got more damage. That doesn't make any sense.
Nope. Nope.
Who, if you look back and you see that I've gotten cut in every UFC fight that I had, uh, I'm gonna get cut more. Who has the facial structure that's gonna take more damage? I do.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
what I'm saying? And
Exactly.
if you look at damage and score off of damage, then you're just a retard. It's foolish. And hopefully, we got some judges in there this time that know that Jason Knight is going to be cut within the first 30 seconds,
Yeah.
and probably just going to sustain a bunch of cuts. But hopefully I can keep my hands up and maybe not take as many cuts, so that way if I do have judges that score based on damage, I won't be taking as much damage.
And I guess I'll just kind of wrap it up with this: is with the hype that the first fight, the first Artem fight, all the fight of the centuries and fight of the decades and all the accolades that it's gotten now. Is it any added pressure on you guys? And maybe I wish Artem was here too, because I'd ask him the same thing. Is it any added pressure on you to live up to that fight? Because a lot of people are going to have a lot of expectations going into it. Is there any added pressure on you you know, to live up to that? Or is it like, fuck that, I'm focused on me and winning the fight, and that's it?
Uh, the second one for sure. I would love to go out there and excite the fans, but I promise you, it doesn't add any pressure to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm going in with the same mindset as I did last time. I'm here to win this fight, and if I have to go through bloody hell to win it, that's what I'm gonna do. If I have to get cut up and go through a war where we knock each other down over and over again, that's perfectly fine with me. I'm not gonna fight any less hard, and I know that Artem's not either, because it's just not in our blood. You know,
Yeah.
that's not how we
Yep.
were raised. That's not how we were bred. We were bred for something greater. We were made this way. That's all I can think of. We're gonna come out and we're gonna fight with everything we got in us. There's not gonna be anything that's not left on the table. It's all gonna be left right there in the middle of that ring. And if people aren't excited about it, then I'm sorry, but I'm going out here and I'm doing my best to put this guy away, and I know he's going to do the same. And it's no added pressure whatsoever because the goal is always the same as it was the first time. Get my hand raised,
Yeah.
and this time is to make sure that it doesn't go to the judges. That's the plan.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure that if it does go to the judges, it's gonna be a decisive win. That's the reason that it didn't go in my favor last time. For one, I let it go to the judges, and for two, I didn't get started early enough to make sure that I stayed ahead the whole time. Uh, I feel like I feel like if I would have made it a clear decision, then they could have never robbed me. I let it be too close, and I'm gonna try to make sure this time that it's not that close.
All right, brother. Well, I love it, man. I couldn't have said it any better myself, man. And I tell you what, we're looking forward to it. I cannot fucking wait for the rematch, man. You and Artem, and it's going to be a huge show. And man, we appreciate your time so much. It was our absolute pleasure, my friend. And
Yes, sir.
we'll be in touch, and hopefully maybe we'll have you on again soon. Maybe right before the fight or something. We'll work something out. But Mr. Jason Knight, man, you go ahead and do your thing. I know you're out in the country, but like I said, we appreciate your time, man. I guess that's going to wrap it up for us, guys. For Jason Knight, for Mr. Lavrov by Jeff Houston, I am Joshua Furs. We are Combat Insiders, and that's all
Yes,
we got.
sir.
Out.
Thank y'all so much, and God bless, man. I give all the glory to God. He made this happen. He gave me this opportunity just like he did the first opportunity. He put me on this platform, and I'm gonna do every bit of my every bit of my power. I'm gonna make sure that I glorify Him. So, we're gonna go out here and try to get this win and talk about how God gave it to me.
There you go, brother. Amen. There you
All
go,
right, man.
brother.
Y'all have a good one.
All right, man. Have a good
You
one.
too, brother.